Janet Mock has responded to Lil Duval's transphobic comments on The Breakfast Club, but before we get into her response, let's break down what happened on The Breakfast Club in case you were living under a rock and didn't see this go down on Twitter. Basically, Lil Duval is a comedian. I was not familiar with him. Darren, I guess you said.
Not so much. I mean, the only thing I saw him on was he was on MTV's Guy Code, making little comments here and there. That's all I know.
Cool. So that's what he went on The Breakfast Club to do, make some little comments. One of those comments was actually threatening the lives of trans women. So what happened was, we're not gonna play the video, but he was asked about trans people, his views on them. He used a slur when referring to trans people. And then he also said that if he had unknowingly slept with a woman who is transgender, that woman would be, quote, dying. And he just made, I guess, what he would qualify as jokes about killing trans people, trans women of color specifically. During this time, DJ Envy actually propped up Janet Mock's book because Janet Mock had been on the show July 25th and said, well, what about her? In response to that, Lil Duval misgendered Janet Mock and then said that, no, I would think I was gay if I were to do that. It's totally ignorant. If you want to go watch the video, go watch the video, but it's just some guy sort of blabbering really gross stuff. And the response to this has been a lot of vitriol on Twitter because aside from co-host Angela Yee, who did actually shoot down the unfunny remark and say that would be a hate crime, the rest of the cast of the show was giggling and sort of snickering along. Charlemagne himself, even though he said, oh, you can't do that, you can't say that, he was still laughing along with it. One Twitter user said, trans women are in fact being murdered for the very reasons Lil Duval says he would kill her. His jokes are a matter of life and death. There is even a push to boycott The Breakfast Club, even though Lil Duval was just a guest on the show. So that's that, let's set that aside. Now Janet Mock has spoken out about the incident. Mock had been a guest on the show to promote her book Surpassing Uncertainty on July 25th, and in response to Duval's comments, the hosts held up a copy of Mock's book and asked him what he thought about Mock. In response to her image, he misgendered her and the entire room laughed. This is what she says to Allure magazine. Just so we are clear, on a black program that often advocates for the safety and lives of black people, its hosts laughed as their guest advocated for the murder of black trans women who are black people too. Another thing that sort of rubbed me the wrong way is that The Breakfast Club they're handling this, they're fostering a discussion. I know that Charlemagne the God was confronted with this at Politicon. There were some people that disrupted his talk. They're trying to discuss it, but something that I have a problem with is even in their tweet on July 30th, here's the second part of the discussion about transgenders with @Lil Duval. It's so ignorant that you're not even using the right terminology. It doesn't show that you're trying to educate yourself or your viewers or foster a healthy discussion if you're still using the term transgenders. It's transgender people, transgender women. Like, I get it. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, if you don't know, there's a thing called Google. You can look it up.
So Laverne Cox also responded. Laverne Cox took to Twitter saying, some folks think it's okay to joke about wanting to kill us. We have free speech, but that speech has consequences, and trans folks are experiencing the negative consequences with our lives. It hurts my spirit because this isn't funny. Our lives matter. Trans murder isn't a joke. So Darren, there has been some pushback on both sides of this. Some people are saying it's just a joke, get over it. It's not that big of a deal. They are saying that the cast of The Breakfast Club is not complicit in this. Where do you lie?
So I feel like with this, there was two huge missed opportunities by both Lil Duval and the cast of Breakfast Club. I feel like when you have such a big following, when you're a celebrity and you're asked questions. I mean, he was asked about how he feels about transgenders in the military. I mean, that was a huge
that the phrasing of the question? Transgenders in the military?
I don't know if it was transgenders or transgender. I can't say. I don't remember the video exactly, but essentially Charlemagne asked him how he feels about it, how he feels about Trump's decision to essentially ban them from the military. And this was a huge opportunity for Lil Duval to take a stand. And regardless of if he feels strongly about it or if he, really doesn't like transgenders, I think this was a huge, huge missed opportunity. And I think that if you are a celebrity and you have such a huge platform, when you don't take a stand, I feel like that is like just a waste of like how many people follow you. I mean, I think that when you're a celebrity, you have the chances to like advance society and help people who don't have a voice.
Yeah, and just to cop out and turn it into a joke, even though he is a comedian, I don't think that I've said this before on the show, I don't think that there's any joke that is necessarily off limits, but I think you need to know where your boundaries are and if you are the right person to make that joke, if it is a thoughtful joke, what are we laughing at? And you're calling for people to laugh at the murder of trans women?
Yeah, and then another missed opportunity was by the Breakfast Club, because they then, when he said essentially that he would kill the transgender, they had an opportunity to stop it right there and be like, no, this isn't okay. And while they said, no, this isn't okay, the fact that they kind of laughed it off, tried to make it a joke, again, that's a huge missed opportunity for them as well.
Yeah, to me it speaks to how comfortable are you speaking up and saying something that might make the room uncomfortable, but will foster a healthy discussion. And I'll do it right now. Here's an example. Daron, in what you just said, a number of times you said transgenders, which is okay, and that's fine. But if I were to just sit back here and be like, no, the terminology that the Breakfast Club used is incorrect, and not point out you saying that, then like, where are we going? And it's not weird. It's not that weird.
I don't claim to just know everything about transgender people, about gay people, about straight. I don't know. So,
but how the hell are the Breakfast Club going to have Janet Mock on their show? And that was a really interesting discussion. It was definitely more adult than having Lil Duval, and I understand their brands are totally different. Okay, sure, fine. But how are you going to have that guest on, treat her with respect, and then bring on Lil Duval and just not care? I wish that they'd had a spine in that situation. Just someone had a spine. I think Angela Yee was the closest one, but even that, she sort of was like, oh, it looks like we're all kind of going along with this, that we have decided as a group this is gonna be funny.
Exactly.
So, okay, I guess I have to go along with this, even though you get that feeling when you hear something, when you are a part of something, you know it's wrong. And I do expect better from the Breakfast Club, so I'm disappointed. I think Janet Mock has spoken out really well. I would actually look forward to her. It'd be kind of cool if they brought her and Lil Duval back on the show, because to have that discussion of someone who's clearly so ignorant about trans issues and trans lives, and to just have such an amazing advocate for the community, and just have them have a discussion, an adult discussion, because that is how we get to a place of understanding. Trans people, whether you agree with that or not, they're people and they're Americans and they're citizens, and some of them serve in the military, and they should be able to do that. I don't know. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. And I mean, I think another thing that is just a whole other topic that would take weeks to cover is the fact that within certain communities in the United States, Hispanic culture, Black culture especially, it is still a taboo subject to be gay, to talk about being gay, and to be transgender, to talk about being transgender. And you could tell when he was asked about transgender in the military, he was really uncomfortable. And his default was to say, oh, I do me, they do them.
Yeah, and how he's like, I think I'd be gay. Like if I had sex with a trans woman,
as if it was bad that he would be gay. So that's, like I said, a whole other topic that you could delve into. The fact that it's still super taboo in certain communities within the US.
Yeah, guys, we want to hear from you in the comment section below. Did you see this all go down over the weekend? What do you think about Janet Mock's response? What do you think about Lil Duval? How do you think the Breakfast Club should handle this moving forward? Do you think they did an okay job? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we will see you next time on Pop Trigger.